I would not have probably attended anything unless I really liked the teacher.
I think our educator that I really adore, for lack of better terms, is they were very open. And with whenever there was a question, they were very transparent. There was no secrets with them. They kept an open book.
For me personally, like when it comes to the teachers that I really held close to my heart were the ones that were really intentional with understanding who it was that I was as a person, talking to me about the things that I was going through, just asking me how my day was, stuff like that, rather than just feeling like, oh, I'm just here to be here.
Just talking about experiences in a non-condemnation centered way. I think talking about experiences as like maybe healthy or not, or unhealthy. So emphasizing the individual students as individual beings, humans with valid perspectives and experiences and contributions to the classroom.
There's a lot of topics that we talk about that are very vulnerable, that makes us feel very vulnerable. And I ask that if health educators make themselves as vulnerable as we make ourselves, it would be a better environment.
They really allowed everyone to get involved. It was more like member driven, like we came up with group agreements amongst ourselves and voted on them.
Having those small groups is really important as well. I found out that not only does it make it easier for the teachers to understand, more within those groups, but it also gives an environment for the student to make connections with the other students.
When these sexual education courses are being implemented again, definitely utilizing the feedback from students. So definitely having these young students kind of partner with these sex ed educators and kind of definitely helping them plan, what information they want to be provided in the future for future sex ed classes. So that kind of, helps to kind of, just provide some security that, like what they have said matters and that, what they have said is going to be useful for future generations.
We're very kind of scared to use the words, penis and vagina. It wasn't until I took sexual education courses with Native Challenge that they used those words consistently. They would also give us a lot of resources online, a lot of teenage resources, more like texting, hotline numbers. They would give us a lot of information on if we were going through a tough time, how we could find help.
There was like an anonymous box where you could like put in questions if you didn't want to like raise your hand physically and like ask. The only thing I really have to add is I think having a norm that if you feel comfortable putting pronouns in the little name box on like Zoom or whatever other platform that people use that's like equivalent is I think a really interesting practice.
Is we have theme days, virtual theme days. For instance, we'll do party Tuesday or something on those lines, and everyone will have a party virtual background in their background area.
Maybe having kind of like crash courses for the educators to learn maybe some different perspectives from different, racial and ethnic backgrounds, or, what is kind of more acceptable in some religions, having that understanding of like everyone's different, but we're all here to speak about this topic.
Just letting them know that they're comfortable and that they're safe and that they're free to speak wherever they're from. They are being heard and that they're not being denied of their words.
They did a lot of research on, what tribe we're from and different type of cultural activities as well. They would learn from one another, build the relationships with the community you work in, go the extra mile to make someone's day, ask them how they're doing, ask them if anything's okay, create that relationship, create that bond, create that that connection between you and them.
Especially coming from different socioeconomic backgrounds, there's a lot of students that, maybe don't have their parents around with them all the time that they can ask questions because they're working a lot, or some students may not even have that relationship with their parent.
Investing in like diversity initiatives and training for teachers to make sure that sort of the language they use is very inclusive, the sort of assumptions and like gender roles that and how those play into like everyday life.
Having educators that have a solid reputation, who engage with their students well, who are allowing these students to be individuals and welcoming them into the discussion and humanizing them and all of these things, I think that's super helpful.